Get ready for a whole lot of sunshine, some clouds, and a warming trend through the middle of this week. But some bigger changes are expected for the weekend. Hey everyone, good afternoon. I'm Chief Meteorologist Darrell Winninger from the Central Oregon Daily Weather Center. We're about to do a deep dive into your most reliable forecast. Now, we do have a warming trend on the way, take us through Thursday, but by Thursday afternoon, we start to see some of these changes. So we're going to go ahead and focus on what's been happening today, what's going to happen through the next couple of days, and some of those bigger changes later this week that are really going to be impacting our forecast and even all the way down to what we're wearing. So we're going to start off with what we're seeing right now. Across the high desert, there are some clouds over the Cascades, but for the rest of the Tri-County area, tons of sunshine, and that sunshine helped our temperatures warm up a little bit more. However, in a couple of these cameras, we can see a little bit of haze. But the good news about that haze is that our air quality is sitting in the green. So from the DEQ and airnow.gov, this is a look at what our air quality conditions are like, and there's nothing to be worried about. We have good air quality across the high desert. Roads are dry. We can see those shadows on the ground, and it is just a gorgeous spring day for Central Oregon. But here's what's been happening. Satellite radar shows that there have been a few clouds throughout the whole state, and a couple sprinkles right around Portland, up through Seattle, and even all the way up to the international line. Now, we are getting into what's called a zonal flow. Everything coming from west to east without the big, huge troughs and ridges. And what's going to happen through the next couple of days is a ridge of high pressure continues to build into the Pacific Northwest. And so that's going to change that zonal flow. But we're going to keep winds and a light breeze. We're going to keep the same change in temperature diurnally. So chilly nights, pleasantly warmer days each day, with one exception: by tomorrow, not too much of a change in our temperatures, and I'll show you what I'm talking about through the next couple of minutes. But we're going to switch gears, look at infrared satellite. And all those white lines on there, those are isobars, so constant lines of pressure. And the reason that the isobars are important to us is where they're tightly packed together, like through the Cascades right here, that's where we can look for stronger winds. Now, this is enhanced with the satellite imagery so that it really pulls out those tall, huge cumulonimbus clouds or cumulostratus clouds, and we can see a lot of those tall clouds further off to the east, well over the Dakotas and a little bit over Montana. Over the Tri-County area, we have some ridging that continues, but when we look at the bigger picture, we're looking at two different things. Number one, there's a ridge of high pressure out over the Pacific Ocean. That high is our dominant high. That's the one that's really controlling the weather pattern, and we do see those isobars changing, and we see them kind of pushing towards Central Oregon, so there's some thermal advection going on. It's really not too strong, and that's just looking at those isobars, but for the most part, what we're expecting these next couple days, winds are going to be breezy at times. And even when we zoom in to the base level, just coming down to our Tri-County area, we see a couple of things. First, very little in the way of cloud cover until you hit the Cascades and further off to the west. Second, we don't see those isobars stacked up too tightly, so we don't have a steep gradient, and winds are mostly at a light breeze. But even when we look at a different satellite imagery, we're looking right now at water vapor, and it shows where there's a ton of moisture in the atmosphere or where it's extremely dry. And we can see a lot of that moisture well off to our east on the other side of the Rockies, but what we see just to our south is this huge mass of dry air, and that air is warmer, and through the next couple of days it starts to build into our neck of the woods. So for today, temperatures did not go very far. We did not get too far off what we saw the last couple of days. We're topped out so far in the upper 50s and lower 60s for most of the high desert, and that's where our current temperatures are as well. When we look at the change in the last 24 hours, that delta T change in temperatures, it's really close to where it was sitting yesterday. Now, by tomorrow, we see similar conditions. And we're going to look at a forecast model real quick. This one shows two different things: surface temperatures and streamlines, where those winds are moving. And there is a little bit of a baby trough that's been digging into the Pacific Northwest. We are expecting this cooler air to stick around for one more day, keeping us near average for this time of the year, and then a warm up is expected. So through Tuesday, more sunshine, some afternoon clouds, a little bit of moisture, not a lot of moisture. Highs in the 60s and 50s, and then by Wednesday, abundant sunshine. And under tons of sunshine, the warm-up really takes shape. Highs will be in the 60s. We're talking mid-60s for most, a few outliers. And then by Thursday, there's a couple of things that we're tracking. First, our next cold front will be just offshore by then. Winds to the east of that, on our side of that cold front, are going south to north. And that's going to be pulling up some moisture into the Tri-County area. This is going to be our next chance of some showers, even with the additional warming and increasing clouds through the day. At this point, highs in the 60s and 70s. So topping out on either side of 70 degrees just before that next chance of rain. Those showers start to roll in late Thursday through Thursday night and into Friday. And then this does a couple of things. First, winds get breezy Thursday and Friday. Second, a huge drop in temperatures is expected between Thursday and Friday, even more so by this weekend. And third, not only are we looking at getting wet, but at first we're just looking at scattered showers, but by Friday more precipitation is expected with some in and out clouds. So here's your forecast model, and it shows that broad ridge of high pressure well out over the Pacific Ocean, stretched into the Pacific Northwest. And through tonight we stay clear. Few clouds are even expected, and it's going to be cold. Temperatures falling down into that freezing range once again. And then by Tuesday, we have some afternoon clouds. Now, you do see some green showing up on the map here. This is simulated radar reflectivity, and where we should be seeing some showers. But notice most of the sprinkles are way in the highest elevations, not really coming down into the 97 or 26 corridor, or even the 20 corridor until you get to the Cascades, and further out towards the eastern side of the state. And so by Wednesday, we are just going to be sunny. This is when that warming trend really takes shape. We're well into the 60s, and by Thursday, we don't start to see increasing clouds until the afternoon. So there's still plenty of time for warming with that bigger a bump in temperatures that we're expecting, highs in the 60s and 70s. By the afternoon, getting into the evening, I'm going to go ahead and, wrong button. Let's get out of that. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in, take a closer look. By the afternoon and evening, some scattered showers are expected. Overnight, still scattered showers. So this isn't going to be a very strong front. And in advance of it, we do get a little bit of precipitation. And it's going to be actually an area of low pressure that starts to develop. The main front, by Thursday night, still well offshore, and that moves in on Friday. That's when we're looking at scattered showers for more of the high desert, a little bit of snow in the Cascades, not enough to get excited about though. By Saturday, some of that precipitation sticks around with us. That moisture stays in the air. We get the big drop in temperatures, and a little bit of mountain snow is going to be possible. And then by Sunday, we're still looking at some in and out clouds. So we're going to be in an unsettled weather pattern starting Thursday afternoon, going through the weekend. And by next week, it starts to shape up once again, bringing that sunshine back into play. Our next warming trend well underway as well. And so between now and Wednesday at 11 p.m., few sprinkles, highest elevations, that's going to be tomorrow afternoon. We're going to fast forward all the way until noon Thursday with a lower resolution forecast model, and show you that by the afternoon and evening hours, some scattered showers start to roll through, and that continues through Thursday night and into Friday. So winds, look at this today, about 10 to 15 miles per hour across the high desert. This is just winds. Looking at gusts are between 15 and 30 miles per hour. So there are already some strong winds this afternoon, but it's not too breezy across the high desert. Just the observed winds show that we have been picking up wind speed through the last couple of hours, and after sunset, wind speeds start to taper off, coming back to almost calm. By Tuesday, breezy at times during the afternoon. By Wednesday, a light breeze. Winds could pick up during the afternoon, mostly about 5 to 15 miles per hour. Nothing to get worried about. Then stronger winds are expected by Thursday. So for tonight, 20s with a few 30s out there. And then, wrong way. Let's go the other way. So for tonight, 20s, there you go, with a few 30s out there. And then by tomorrow, on Tuesday, we're looking at 50s and 60s across the high desert. Not too far from where we topped out today. And then we get warmer Wednesday. By Thursday, even warmer. Then that next chance of precipitation starts to roll into the Pacific Northwest, with off and on rain showers through Friday night, and a little bit of lingering moisture Saturday. Also, there's going to be a big drop in temperatures going from either side of 70 degrees Thursday to 59 Friday to 56 Saturday. Also, winds are going to be breezy, even gusty by Saturday and Sunday before we really start to see that clearing. So quick recap. For this deep dive into your most reliable forecast, chilly nights and warming days are on the way. Under tons of sunshine, we're going to be warming up a lot, coming back up into the lower 70s by Thursday, just before late week showers roll into the region Thursday and Friday. That is the latest in weather. Join us tonight on Central Oregon Daily News in a couple of minutes on ABC. So it's 5 and 11 on ABC and 6, 7 and 11 on CBS. Join us. We'll see you then.